Richard Donner revolutionized the superhero genre with Superman, 1978, but his original vision for the sequel was nearly lost to studio politics. When Superman 2 was taken over by Richard Lester following creative disputes, the theatrical release ended up feeling inconsistent with Donner's tone. For decades, fans speculated what the intended version might have looked like, until 2006, when Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, finally saw the light of day. The result? A sharper, more emotionally grounded sequel that arguably surpasses the theatrical cut in nearly every way, save for one major flaw that continues to divide fans. A better, smarter Lois and Clark. The heart of any Superman story lies in the relationship between Lois Lane and Clark Kent, and Donner's cut showcases this dynamic with greater emotional complexity and intelligence. Margot Kidder's Lois is sharper and far more proactive, actively investigating Clark's true identity with clever, gutsy tactics. Her instincts are sharp enough to throw herself out a window or fire a gun loaded with blanks, just to test her theory. It's a bold, brilliant take on the character that reaffirms Lois as an investigative journalist, not just a love interest. Christopher Reeve, meanwhile, delivers arguably his finest performance as both Superman and Clark Kent. His ability to switch between the shy, bumbling Kent and the confident, morally driven Superman is masterful and never feels like simple disguise. The added depth of scenes involving Jor-El, played by a restored Marlon Brando, heightens Clark's internal struggle between personal happiness and global responsibility. Reeve's emotional breakdown in the Fortress of Solitude, as he begs for his powers back, resonates more powerfully with Brando's presence than it ever could without it. Jor-El's return adds depth and purpose. One of the most noticeable improvements in Donner's version is the reintroduction of Jor-El. Brando's performance had been removed from the theatrical cut due to legal and financial conflicts, replaced with Superman's mother Lara. While effective, her scenes lacked the gravitas and emotional weight Brando brings. In the Donner cut, Jor-El's final sacrifice, using the last of his energy to restore Superman's powers, is both a touching paternal gesture and a reaffirmation of Superman's responsibilities. This relationship recontextualizes Clark's journey, deepening the emotional stakes of his decision to give up his powers. It's no longer a simplistic romance-driven subplot. It becomes a symbolic loss and rebirth of Superman's identity. Zod and his minions are a formidable threat. General Zod, Ursa, and Non, played by Terrence Stamp, Sarah Douglas, and Jack O'Halloran, respectively, are more menacing in the Donner cut thanks to a sharper script and better pacing. While some of the effects and costumes may show their age, their presence on Earth, especially during the iconic White House invasion, creates a genuine sense of dread. Zod's authoritative presence, combined with Ursa's ferocity and Non's brute strength, elevates the trio beyond comic book villains into an existential threat for humanity. The addition of Lex Luthor, still portrayed with theatrical flair by Gene Hackman, brings a fascinating dynamic to the mix. Luthor's scheming against both Superman and Zod reinforces his role as the cunning opportunist, proving that brains can still be deadly in a world of superpowers. Unlike in the theatrical cut, Luthor's actions feel more strategically woven into the larger conflict. Clark's power sacrifice, emotionally charged but logically flawed. Despite its strengths, the Donner cut isn't without a major narrative stumbling block. The subplot involving Clark surrendering his powers to be with Lois is rich in emotion but problematic in logic. The sequence is beautifully performed, highlighting Clark's desire for human intimacy and a normal life. But the consequences, the world left vulnerable just as alien warlords begin their conquest, undercut the nobility of his choice. What makes this decision more perplexing is that Lois never truly asked Clark to give up being Superman. Her love for him was grounded in his heroism, not in his attempt to live a powerless life. When Clark is beaten in a diner fight shortly after losing his powers, and Lois watches in horror, their romantic bubble bursts. It's a rare moment where the emotional and thematic payoff doesn't align, leaving a small but notable blemish on an otherwise refined story. A sequel that honors and expands the Superman legacy. Despite its one major flaw, Superman 2, The Richard Donner cut is an undeniable improvement over the theatrical version. It restores the original vision, preserves tonal continuity with Superman, the movie, and allows the emotional arcs to play out with far greater nuance. Reeve and Kidder's chemistry has never felt more authentic. Brando's return adds the soul that was missing, and Zod's storyline is more compelling with Luthor's duplicity acting as a foil. What makes Donner's version especially rewarding is how it treats Superman not just as a figure of hope, but as a man grappling with sacrifice, duty, and love. The themes resonate more deeply, the pacing flows more naturally, and the film overall stands as a worthy continuation of one of cinema's most beloved superhero stories. Even now, decades later, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut holds up, not just as an alternate version, but as a testament to how creative vision, when respected, can elevate a film from merely entertaining to something iconic.